Proven tools, practical tips, all free. Subscribe at stevebreda.com/newsletter. Good day, Steve Breda here with the Management Blueprint. And today my guest is Dave Goyal, the founder and CEO of the Think AI Corporation, which helps CTOs and CIOs in manufacturing and healthcare turn siloed data into real-time insights and automation, creating reduced downtime, increased efficiency, and going from weeks to days project launches. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
Well, I'm really curious to learn about you and your company, Think AI Corporation. But first, I'd like to ask you about your personal why and how are you manifesting it in your business?
So thank you again, Steve. I'm really excited to be on your show. I'm into data and AI business and really tech innovation for last 30 years. In this particular company, Think AI, I have a partner, Manish Bardia, and we both are been working very actively with Microsoft partners, Microsoft ecosystem, and implementing data and AI solutions for mid-sized companies and manufacturing companies. You went on why, which is amazing. My why, I'm a disabled entrepreneur. I have this hunger of building businesses. I've built 9 businesses. We can talk about it later. And 5 of them were miserable failures in my books. Not all of them like that miserable as I say, but 5 of them were failure. And I learned a lot from it. And I'm really motivated now to expand it further, to give it back to small businesses. We've been working with mid-size and enterprise clients, but to mid-size companies, and then motivate. I have a 15-year-old kid. So motivate the young people and also small businesses, make use of the power of their own data and use and consume AI on a day-to-day basis. That's my why.
Wow. So to learn the power of their own data and use AI, why is this important to you?
Main reason is I am passionate about technology. So everybody is good in something. I am really good in solving business problems using technology. Being a disabled entrepreneur, I did not have a lot of luxury in initially even walking. Eventually I started using braces, started going into different countries. So the passion became really the source of energy and motivation. And that passion is now going into a level where I want to motivate people like me who are disabled entrepreneurs and want to go into this kind of business. So my real passion is technology and giving back to the society using technology, to sum it up.
Wow. So you mentioned this disabled entrepreneur. I've never heard this term. I mean, you talk about minority entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, small business veteran entrepreneurs, and actually the government recognizes these categories. But I never heard about disabled entrepreneurs. So would you mind sharing a little bit about what happened to you and how you got into this entrepreneurship?
Sure, yeah. And that's really good, by the way. I don't see anybody else using that term but me. So probably I should keep it with me as a, copyright term, just joking on it. But having said that, every disability brings some kind of ability. That's why sometimes they call it differently able. When you have these abilities, you don't know the source or the channels to use that. So example, blind people, they may have a lot of great listening power. That's why they are into music most of the time. Sometimes they have an amazing reasoning and critical thinking power, but they don't know how to channel it. So they fight on a day-to-day basis on these issues. Bringing it back to me, I have polio when I was 6 months old. I got hit by polio virus, my wife and I both. And initial few years, I had to just lie down on the bed, had a lot of physical therapy. Then, I was able to get up and sit at least. Then my father was carrying me to the schools, and I can see, the kids are going out and play. I get beaten up because of that too, because kids doesn't understand, no fault of them, that I'm not throwing ball at them when they are playing. And so that brought a lot of negativity in me. Eventually, my father helped me get over that. And I started channeling that into building businesses. So I started teaching music. I learned music through some of my friends. I started teaching music during my college days and started making money. And I had a blind friend, and he needed money because he was abandoned by his parents. So I had to help him out and started making some money. I was doing well with my family, so I could just pay everything back to him. So that seed got planted there, and I didn't know what to do back then, right? Still 14, 15 years old kid or a teenager in this case. So I started getting into that mindset of how about I build businesses for me and then start helping out the community. I'm still not there yet. I'm going towards helping that community. But I want to identify disability in three ways, not just physical.
Hmm.
So those three are physical, but the bigger one is mental. So a lot of people are really mentally blocked. And you see people, oh, I can't change anything in my life. People die and have suicide. Kids get into depression. This is a form of disability by all means. I don't think education, parents, and community is doing so much about that other than having a cliche thing that I was a victim of depression, so I'm doing that just to show off, but really to help out community in a methodical manner that doesn't exist. Second, physical disability, like I said, given by God, sometimes like war veterans and others, then you feel really limited. So, what to do with that? And I come into that category, so I know that really well.
Hmm.
Third is financial disability. So a lot of financial disability is in mind too. I've heard a phrase called you don't die by hunger, you really die by indigestion.
Hmm.
So you would find ways and means to make money even if you're a completely disabled person. So I don't think finance is an issue in general. So these three areas are to me are the real disability areas. I'm obviously only working on one today, which is physical disability, how to identify potentials of people who can create something different within that limitation and then make the change in the world. So that's the motivation. That's my life 2.0 where I'm moving now.
Love it, love it. So, how did you have time to build nine businesses?
I started it in like 1993, 94, I believe, or 95, I think. And they're like one at a time. Today I have about three. I sold one.
Hmm.
And yeah, I did not have time. One of the big challenge when I built these three last 6, 7, 8 years, biggest challenge I had face is I do not have time for working with customers, which I love to do,
Hmm.
talking and listening to their business problems, solving those problems. I end up doing a lot of operational work. Post 2020, and there's a very blunt thing to say, people got lazy. They want to change jobs, make more money, do moonlighting, do multiple things, but not work hard like we did back in the days. And that kind of pushed all of us small businesses to do a lot more management of resources who are using human resources, especially in distributed environment like I have teams in India, Philippines, Canada.
Hmm.
So that became a bigger challenge. But having said that, the AI came as a savior. Last 18 months, AI have changed quite a lot. And if you don't go into a debate of whether AI is good or bad, or you're a skeptic or an enthusiast, AI can really help you if you really put together on how it can help you. It should not replace you, but it should give you an additional helping arm. In my business,
Hmm.
I started deploying C-suite. So I still have VP operations. My business partner is into sales. But then I started filling in other functions, like a fractional CFO as an example. My fractional CFO is monitoring my top line and bottom line. I call him Felix. I have to give names to AI agents. So Felix is actually looking at a weekly basis what invoices are billed, if we have vendors or employees, what we need to pay, where our expenses are going, what's the monthly or maybe 6 months cash flow run. Are we in limits? Do we have on a borderline cash availability so that we can survive? So it started to do a lot of things. But not only that, because we are feeding our own data, our own mind, I built my own second brain. It started to read off of that and started giving me insights that a human would not give it to me. And even if I hire a fractional CFO, he will only hear what I have to say,
Mhm.
look into some of my books, and then give me some blanket suggestions. Here, this is really tailor made to our problems, our situation, and it worked phenomenally well. So I'm building that as a product now. It's not done yet. Then I also deployed my own CMO called Sasha, and she started to look into my marketing angles, my branding, my voice, my identity. I love writing, but now AI can help me not like just create a blanket AI post or something, but really read how I write, what I write. So I create ideas. It helps me research, does a factual check on it. So I gave like 100 words. It can take those ideas and then expand into newsletter articles or a big campaign. I
Mhm.
can start building different case studies for our customer, proof of concept, building podcasts such as these. So this started freeing up. I only talked about two executives and I have like seven of them, but they started to help me free up my time. And believe it or not, I am getting about 40 to 60 hours, and in good months, about 80 hours per month. So 30 to 50% of my regular time is freed up. So that time is now going into this movement that I'm thinking about, which is disabled entrepreneurship.
Wow, that is impressive. So tell me a little bit about this is a podcast of framework. So do you have a framework for maybe launching an AI agent like that?
I
What?
definitely do, and I want you to expand on it. But in terms of what I have, I look into three things. Where is the gap in terms of human, where I see either performance issues, quality issues, or the availability and capacity issues? So what are those things which doesn't hit my security side of the things? It doesn't interact with my customer and still help me in my operations. That's the gap we look into. How we can use and fill that gap to grow what we need to work on. And then last, so I use it three G's with my last name, Goyal, right? So gap to grow to glow. So now how we can use this in our business to glow and create an environment where even human can interact with this AI persona. So we are always big on human in the loop or human in control with any AI solution. So
Mhm.
it always starts with the gap. Where is the gap? Where it's taking time from one of the human side of our team.
I like that. I like that you isolated those things which are less risky to develop because I think a lot of people are held back by this idea that it's a black box. You don't know what you're getting into. You don't know what you don't know, and it's risky. And then they don't do anything. But you actually isolated that customer interaction is a risk you don't want to live with right now, and security is another one you don't want to. Which I mean, it's obvious. But if those are not hurt, then really, what is the risk you're running? So I like it. So how do you fire up an AI agent like that?
So in terms of technology, I'm using a few things. I'm using Claude Code, the full Claude environment.
Mhm.
So we build it off of that. Back in my days, I worked as a white hat hacker. So security angle we mentioned, I'm always with so much worried about hacking and security angles. So I have a completely isolated environment at my home on a Mac Mini, really powerful Mac Mini, and that cannot go out on internet and do things,
Mhm.
and nobody can inject anything. But then I still need to feed information to it. So I have another machine which the only job of that machine is to provide information to this system. So I have my own second brain mapped into Obsidian, which is like a note-taking application, but it's really organized. So I first fed all my knowledge. I've recorded lots and lots of audios and documents, and it has learned. So I built that system first, like Dave's second brain. And my second brain has learned everything about me. Nobody can see but me. That's my initial basis, right? After that, I build a working memory for my agents, for my company, and I'm doing it for one company at a time. ThinkAI is not completely live on this system, but Data AI Studio is, which is a solo entrepreneurship business that I have. it is learning everything about that business as we speak. Even, the transcripts from these podcasts and other places go into it,
Mhm.
and it learns from it. There will be some insights which it will find. So it retains there. So Claude Code, Mac Mini, Obsidian, these are the bases. And then I've deployed my own personal models like DeepSeek from MIT,
Mhm.
and that is sitting locally on that machine. So the model is local. The risk is it's not getting updated. So I only update it when I feel that it's right. Not risk, it's really the downside. There is no risk in it. So
Mhm.
you're not on the latest and greatest, but you don't have to be on latest and greatest all the time. So Claude Code is on latest and greatest, but when we deploy, it may not apply certain features that Claude Code is making it available. And that's fine. That's the risk I'm taking. That's the trade-off I'm taking. And this system is working great for last 6 months. Last 18 months, even though I started AI about 28, 30 years ago, last 18 months is when I learned the new age AI, and last 6 months is when I started building this in iterative manner. And it is pretty stable now. It can do a lot of things like I mentioned.
So your agents are running on your Mac Mini off the grid,
Yes.
and then you're feeding information with another computer to it to
Hmm.
essentially give them the raw material from which they can build stuff, right?
Right. A good example there, if I may expand, like we use QuickBooks in our accounting system. It cannot read QuickBooks directly, but we being Microsoft partner, we understand technology. I can write a job which can push data into Mac Mini. It doesn't read off of it. My Mac Mini, which has agent, doesn't know where that data has come from. It has the data.
Mhm.
So it's already synthesized and it cannot communicate with others. So that's the calculated risk we take, right? While getting the data from one angle, one way, and then it's synthesizing and analyzing data and getting insights out of it. So that's the balance of systems that I have.
I love it. That's very clever. And what is your main business anyway? Because you talk about three businesses right now. What is your core business? What is your flagship business?
Flagship business is Think AI. It's a consulting organization, 3 times INC 5000 winner in terms of growth. We have our own team, but then we also use a lot of vendors which are qualified by us throughout the world.
Mhm.
And we are Microsoft Advanced Specialized Partners. What that means is we are into like top 2% of the worldwide partner within Microsoft ecosystem, which is like about 500,000 partners. So we are into that. And we work with mid-sized manufacturers mainly, and sometimes healthcare if they are okay and open to AI, and if not data. So we go in there, look into if they have the data and AI strategy. If they do, we work on their initiatives. If they have the initiatives, if not, we create the initiatives for them by doing some POCs and whatnot. And once we get engaged, we do deliverables like a consulting services, but it's not like a typical consulting services where you place a resource. It's really value-based delivery model where we try to understand two business imperatives. One is what can help them make more revenue, and if we cannot find that, what can help them be more productive and have cost cutting in one way or the other. So these are the two main business imperatives we work on. When and if we align with that, then we give them a roadmap, a phase-wise approach, which they can do it with us or with somebody else. And then we keep delivering on it. So that's the whole model.
Mhm. So what drives growth in the Think AI business?
I mean, finding more customers to say the least, and that becomes difficult because today everything is becoming commodity. So one good learning, by the way, I need to share with the audience here. When you're a small business, you think your brand is the value that you have. It's the founders who are the brand. So it's Manish and me. Manish, my business partner, is really big in productivity, project management, and that kind of thing, and I'm really good in building solutions using tech. And together we have about 55 years of experience.
Mhm.
And then, our key team members are ex-Microsoft or MVPs, Microsoft Valued Professionals. So we hire really strong key team. And the team below, we can either fill with our members, hire our own members, or go to the vendors also, and we tell it to our clients also. So our delivery model is We are the one who are delivering. The guarantee is taken by Manish and Dev, not by Think AI. We have got into that situation. We are about 95% successful. So there's a 5% failure. And the failure is either because we have the wrong team member, the communication between client and us was not clear, the scope was not clear, the definition of value and done was not clear. And we have learned from it. So our business model is towards that. And that brings us growth because we work with number of partners. Manish is part of a lot of Microsoft channel partner network. We provide complementary services to those partners. So one channel is we work with a lot of partners because the trust is there. The authority and trust are the two factors we have understood which establishes your business, and it's the founder's authority and trust, not the company.
Mhm.
Company will build on its own. So we started building our own authority and trust, and that gets us growth. It's not at the level we like, but we are happy.
Mhm. You are happy. Okay. So what is your vision? What do you like to make out of this? Do you want to?
So we have an exit plan on at least on Think AI, and like I told you, Manish has his own. That is up to him. For me, I want to create this venture studio for disabled entrepreneurs. Get the funds from here, and then harvest, go across the world. So three hobbies I have. One is travel. Second is reading, writing stuff, books, music, and third is music. And entrepreneurship comes in this whole surroundings, in this whole ring. So it's the foundation of it. So we're going to build this disabled entrepreneurship venture studio with a little bit of funds from our exit and hope to grow there and hope to retire or die with that thinking.
Love it, love it. It's fascinating. So you have a book that is on your LinkedIn page, Real Time Business and Intelligent Mastery. So tell me about this book. Why did you write it, and what it's about?
Sure. So we went into a coaching program. Up until 2022, we were arrogant enough to say, oh, yeah, we can do everything on our own. And then slowly we realized we need help. And we started taking help. We went to a couple of coaches in India where they are coaching us either on how to manage operations and operation excellence, and then another coach who's like a life slash, building a brand marketing coach, and he inspired us to write a book. Now, I've been writing, in my own native Hindi language, songs and compositions, but writing a book was a dream, and I thought it's a big undertaking. But with their little bit of motivation and help, not in writing, but in the angle that what book can bring. So I have a lot of experience working in mid-sized manufacturing organizations, working with CTOs and CIOs, and business intelligence is delayed. So it's like either a 1 day delay or a week delay or a month delay. And it's more reactive in nature. So the book was more about how you can build a real-time business intelligence culture so that you can get the insights from your data, make actionable insights, take actions on it, and grow your business for those two imperatives I talked about, which is grow your revenue or increase your productivity and decrease your cost.
So are you writing about some of the things that you talked about? You know, the leveraging AI, building AI agents.
It has more about, so I wrote it in 2022, I believe. It has a lot more detail about AI was not as popular, right? I mean, I did write about AI in it, but it was more about building a data culture than AI. It does talk briefly about AI because real time is going very closely with AI. That's the enabler for AI insights or data insights through AI. So it does talk about a little bit on AI, but it talks more about tech leaders like CIO and CTO. What do they need to do? How do they need to build a culture on harvesting data, bring the data, build the team, where to take it? So it has those details.
Okay, that's fascinating. Who is this book for? Is it for founders? Is it for C-level executives? Who are the target?
Like I said, it's for tech leaders, CIOs, and CTOs of mid-size organizations.
Okay, that's awesome. And these are the people that you they are your target customers as well. I think AI.
Yes, that's our true ideal client profile too. And that's whom we have worked all our life. So they're close friends, target audience, and customers, future customers and current customers.
All in one, all in one. That's so nice when you write a book to your friends. That's a very cool concept. So let me ask you this, Dave. If you had a magic wand, you've done a lot of things in your business. You built 9 businesses. You learned from some of the failures that you had, which is part of entrepreneurship. And now you created AI agents, and then you have a brain, a second brain, and you're leveraging all that technology. So if you had a magic wand and you could fix one thing in your business in the next 12 months, what would that be?
I wish I have more senior leadership. Any business works with delegation. We
Mhm.
have couple who are really amazing and they wear a lot of hats. But the growth depends on three things, right? Being in front of right customer, having the right team, and
Mhm.
having the right product. Our product is people, unfortunately and fortunately. Customer, we are very happy and excited, and they trust us. We know how to get to them. We know how to create values for them. We are very satisfied. Everybody would say, I need more customer, and we would do that too. But I think more important is what product you are offering. So then people is what we are offering. And we are competing against big ones like, Accenture and Avanar and Cognizant of the world in our business, tech consulting business. But then we are not competing against cost. We are competing against value. So how do you create value? You find a valuable customer. They understand our language. The next level is where is the product, which is the people. And that management becomes quite difficult. And harvesting and getting the right people in place is a job by itself. So kudos to those large companies if they're harvesting one, although that's debatable because when we go to the client and they complain a lot about their resources as well. So harvesting the right product and the right team is the key. And how do you do that if you have the right leaders on top? If two partners alone cannot do that. So building more leaders underneath is the key. We are able to build a few, and I wish we can build a lot more. So when you have right core team, your growth comes in is my belief system. It could be different for everyone else.
No, I think it's a very deep insight, and very few people actually talk about this idea that the purpose of a business, especially in today's AI age, is to build leaders. That's your purpose. So that because people will take care of everything, they're gonna run your AI agents, they're going to manifest your vision, but you can't have just AI agents in a company, right? Because then the mental load is so much on the leader, and then the single person dependency becomes critical. So is this what you mean by this, or where do you come from with this idea of harvesting people and leaders in the business?
Absolutely, you said it well. And building leaders, and it doesn't just apply for an organization, whether small, mid, or big, even to countries. If you don't have the right leaders in place, it's gonna bite you back. And all cultures, some of the top management consultants will teach you to go into succession planning. That is what they really mean by that. It's not succession planning by, okay, replace a CEO with a CEO.
Mhm.
It's the mindset, Apple, a great example of it. Steve Jobs hired Tim Cook from Compaq, from that world. And he had that vision. Obviously, he had a mission, but he had the vision who to take, where to take, and what they would do. And that legacy continue even today. So Apple didn't change a single bit in their model. And people would argue and debate, and that's fine. But when I see from my eyes, he built a great leader. When he did that, the company stays the same. All right. So it's not about what products Apple is creating today, whether it's iPhone or iPad or Apple Vision Pro or some of the other things that they are doing, but it's really that leader. Same thing went with Google, hiring or the Microsoft Satya Nadella. And you see right leaders were built by these founders. And by any means, we are not that big. And hopefully, we can get at some place which is pretty good in our books. But finding and building the right people, it gives you a lot of satisfaction, happiness,
Mhm.
bliss if you can, you know, give it back to somebody who is capable enough. And I'm always in hunt of right people, building the right team in place.
It's so interesting you mentioned Apple because when Isaacson came out with the Steve Jobs biography, he said, basically, I think it's in the preamble of the book, he says that Steve Jobs wanted people to remember him not for the products that he created, but the company. So his biggest contribution was creating a company. And I didn't get what he meant by it. But if you witness since he died 13 years ago, so the last 13 years, this company is going from strength to strength. 90% of its market capitalization has been created since he died, right? So it
True.
keeps growing and keeps going from strength to strength. And that is the culture and the people that he built. This is a company he built. So it's quite amazing idea.
I was about to comment on company. Something came back to me or reminded me that companies generally build on three pillars. So customer, people, and culture.
Hmm.
And if you don't have a right balance of it, so right people, but if you don't have the right culture, they're gonna run away. If you don't have the right customers, so you should have the ability to say no to certain types of customers too. Like Apple never targeted, a small, cheap products. And when I say cheap, meaning, which doesn't have the right quality in place, not about the cost. It's always cost versus the quality. So they have really strike a right balance in those three angles. And I think that's the right way to do it. Some are able to do it, some are able to push through to do it, and some are not. But that's where I think the focus needs to be if you are a founder. Find that right balance of people, client, or customer and culture.
Yeah.
And that is your core values too.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's wonderful. If you are listening to this conversation with Dave Goyal and you would like to learn more about him and what he does and Think AI Corporation, where should our listeners go to learn more?
Thank you for this opportunity, first of all. And people can find me on LinkedIn by my name, Dave Goyal. I'm very active there. I recently started a YouTube channel with the name Dave Goyal, so you can find me on YouTube. And mainly on LinkedIn, I have a newsletter on AI, and I'm pretty passionate about what's happening in AI. So I even publish AI news this week, but with a different angle, a builder's angle in mind. And last but not the least, you can connect me through LinkedIn for a 15-30 minute call. No angle there. I will just come and help you if you really want to do something with AI. I can listen to your challenges or your fear of missing out if that's the case, and tell you if AI is the right fit for you or not, and what you can do on your own also. And if you need our help, we are happy to.
That's fantastic. So this is take Dave up on his offer, which I think is very generous. And obviously, Dave, you know what you're talking about. You built a second brain. You're running AI agents. Your C-suite is chock full of AI agents, which is very impressive. I'd love to learn more about this myself. So if you're curious about that, make sure you book a call with Dave or check out his stuff. Where is your newsletter? Is it a Substack? Where can people find your newsletter?
It's on LinkedIn. It's called Data and AI Demystified in my profile.
Okay, so that's easy. So we can go to Dave's LinkedIn profile. And if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcast, YouTube. Give us a review because every week I bring in a couple of exciting entrepreneurs like Dave who shares their favorite frameworks with you. So Dave, thanks for coming and thank you for listening. That's it for this episode. Keep moving your business forward. Subscribe at stevepreda.com/newsletter.